Hi, I'm Aiden.
Oh, and I'm Nora.
And we are When Life Gives You Llamas. We are the 2018 Razorback Champions for Project, and we want to see you do the best you can this year.
And we have our number one rule that we say all the time is to have fun, because that is what robotics is about. It's one of the core values, and it's our favorite core value.
Today we're going to be talking about prototyping to you, and that is when you take your idea and put it into something that could be physically seen or thought of as a real thing.
And we were gonna do just talking about scripting first, but we realized that prototyping would probably be the first thing that we want to talk about. I don't know what order we did it in. I think because we had many different prototypes. We probably started scripting before we started our prototyping, but it doesn't really matter. How do you start prototyping?
Prototyping usually starts with a drawn up idea like we talked about in our ideas and brainstorming part of our video. Go watch that, check it out. It's a link in the description below. I can't see the description, but we're going to move on. So prototyping mainly starts out with the drawing, then it advances on to get what you can from normal materials. Definitely not on your first prototype. Don't sew anything together. Don't put together a big thing, because it might not even work yet. You still need to start out from basics. If you're gonna have clothing, then start out from clothes you already have, or start out from a shirt and pants. If you're gonna do what we did a full body suit, and we didn't want to start out first time with a full body suit because we didn't know if it would work. So we started out first with a shirt and shorts, and then we moved on to a full body suit.
And that's where a lot of the researching part comes in. So before you start your prototype, you want to know everything you can about the idea you have about that prototype to make sure it does work. Also, it doesn't have to be a physical thing. If you're doing a space station, you're not gonna make a space station. If you wanted to, you could make a mini prototype, but you don't have to. It could just be a detailed drawing, and there's gonna be more than one prototype for sure. So it doesn't have to be physical.
And now there's so many new technology things coming out, like 3D printers. You can draw anything up and make the idea better and better with just a drawing, and then use a 3D printer once to print it out.
So your prototype, it doesn't have to be super detailed, because our prototype, it doesn't have. I'll be right back. Just
BRB.
talk to them.
Okay. Today we're going to be talking about.
I thought it wasn't recording for a second. This is our prototype.
It is first started out. This was our first prototype that we had, and as you can see, we just started out with normal clothes instead of a full body suit. So here's our first prototype. It's just a shirt, and we have these little loops on it that were just casually sewn on, and then we tied on these rubber bands to make it resistance bands to get our solution across, It doesn't have to be a full model suit, because you're not going to really use it that much. It's going to be the most important to have your first model in your final presentation, because in your final presentation, you're going to show them that you worked up from something. You worked up from an idea, and it's most important that you start off with something like this.
Mm-hmm. And so if you have your first prototype done, this is our first prototype, and this is a good way. It's a great way to find out the problems in your solution and to find better ideas in that, because then you can figure out what's wrong with it and you can fix that and explain to the judges, this is what we found. And that is a good thing. It's not bad to tell them what's bad about it, because then you can improve it for state or nationals, and you can talk about how this wouldn't be the actual solution.
And the judges like that kind of team integrity.
They do. And you could also explain ours, there's supposed to be loops all around the joints, and we explain that in our presentation, but we don't show it, but we do have one example. But this is just the first prototype, so we're just gonna yeet.
This is our current prototype. Our current prototype, as you can see, we did finalize it into a full bodysuit. So now that we have the full bodysuit, we can just work on making it better. And as you can see, on our better prototype, we added way more bands to get our solution across the table in a much better way than we first started out with.
And these ones have hooks, because we explained how we have hooks so they can move. So we have those now. And then also on the joints, we have loops all around, so we can explain to them, like, yeah, they're all around, they're not just in one spot, because we need to get all the muscles.
Because on our other prototype, we didn't have enough like examples of loops and hooks and bands like we wanted to show. So it's always a good idea on your second prototype to have lots of examples, or it might even not be your second, it might be your third or fourth or fifth. But you need to have lots of examples of what your solution to look like. We saw one team at state this year that had a mini example of what their solution would be like, and it was a little cage with a Barbie doll inside of it wearing VR goggles and rubber bands around it. And I thought that was just amazing that they didn't make big scale model like bands to hold you to a cage, or like they didn't bring an actual VR set. They just brought this little Barbie doll inside of a cage, and it was the cutest little thing. They gave it a name and everything, and they did really well.
What was the name?
I don't remember the name of the Barbie doll.
Yeah. So if you guys don't have like clothing, yeah, it could just be like a scale model or like something out of cardboard. Last year ours was a toilet, and so we just used like one of those $20 toilet seats that you can get, and we made our model out of that. And then 2 years ago it was like a pet box thing, and I think we made a drawing. We made a mini prototype. I think it was like a cat cage that we used it with for a dog thing, but that was fun. So obviously if you guys have a scale model, it doesn't have to work necessarily. You can just explain to the judges after your presentation, like in the questioning part, like, yeah, it doesn't work, but that's because it takes $1 million or something.
Because if you're gonna build like something that simulates gravity, or like not even like this, but like an actual gravity making machine, you can't build that in your robot room. You can't like physically make it, so you can just make a little prototype, and it's not gonna have to like make gravity for itself. It just has to look how you want it to look, and then you can show the judges, well, if it did work and we did have funding, wink wink, nudge nudge, then it would work like this, and then you show them like how doors open and stuff like that.
So you just have to make sure that the judges understand what you're trying to give them. So you can have like this, you can have a physical prototype, and you can have a drawing of a more detailed thing to show like this is what it would actually look like. That's especially great if you have like a good artist on your team. Like we have a couple of good artists, like 2 or 3. 2, I think, yeah.
We have like 2 and then a half.
Is that you?
No.
Who's it?
I think draws.
I don't think so. So one thing that we can do, that you can do, it's really helpful, we do it a lot too, is we give the judges a mini piece of our prototype to show how it works. Last year, ours worked with touch sensors, so we brought this really cool touch sensor that would be used on the actual thing, and we showed it to them, and then we had it connected to this little thing, and then if you pressed on it, it would light up. And so we gave that to the judges to show them how it works. And we also, this year, we give the judges resistance bands and to show them, give them idea about how it stretches and what's the cool words, like?
How it like strains on your muscles and pulls back.
Yeah.
No matter where you are, you don't have to have gravity to use this. And another great thing with your prototype is making sure you can share it with other people, because that is a huge part of it. Because if the judges hear your prototype and they're like, well, who did you share it with? And you can't say anything, that's going to be really bad for your ideas and presentation part of it. Because you're sharing it with other people shows that your team can like reach outside of themselves and be like, we have this idea, we want to share it with you. That shows your team is outgoing and that your team really expands on their knowledge and doesn't just think inside the box.
Mm-hmm. That's also on the rubric. Huge thing that we haven't talked about yet, surprisingly.
Rubric.
Rubric. If you want to have a good presentation, look at the rubric. It's literally everything that you need to know to have a perfect score on your rubric, on your presentation. Yeah. And so, yeah, sharing is one of them. So if you shared it with multiple people, just read the rubric. And if you don't understand it, you can just ask us, and then we can explain. We can make a new video explaining what the rubric is if you guys want that.
post it down in the comments below. We'll check it out later and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. If you want to post it with some sort of like way we can contact you, probably not an email. Don't want to spam you with random people from YouTube.
Or they
but,
can email us.
Or they can email us and then we can email them back. Them, they,
You. Thank you for coming today for this week's. Are we posting weekly? I don't know.
This
I'm in charge
session.
of that. Yes. Thank you. Next week we will be talking about the script and maybe props. We don't know if we're combining those two videos or not. We'll find out. You'll see. Thank you.
Make sure to like and subscribe, turn on notifications, post anything in the comments if you want us to do another video, expand on anything. If you want to talk to us in person, shoot us an email, we can call you back. Another thing we'd like you to do is make sure you go over our instructions and videos. Don't take them too literally. They're not 100%. Just shoot us an email or post it in the comments if you think we should improve on anything. That'd be great for us. Remember, when life gives you llamas, you make llamanade. We should include that just a bit.
For sure. Okay, bye.
I'm sick of recording. Did you record that?
This is our prototype from State.
And this leg is inside out. You're making noise! Because I inhaled a giant. Ah! 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 This is what we mean when we say drop a prototype. Start with something basic, then move on to something a little bit cooler, then a little bit cooler, and then finally you send it to a company that makes fursuits, and they send you back a full-scale fursuit when you give them the dimensions, and that's pretty cool. What's up, guys? Welcome to today's gaming video. We're gonna play Minecraft today. Hello, smack that like button, hit that subscribe button. No. Thanks for checking it out. We are When Life Gives You Llamas, and remember, when life gives you llamas, we'll make depression.
I was literally, I didn't even mean to do this. I was doing this one YouTuber's goodbye. He was like, if you're not smiling, you're doing it wrong. It's Alex Wasabi's closing thing. I was literally about to say that.